I'm a big fan of tier lists, and we're about halfway through the NFL season. So I was thinking about doing a quarterback tier list. Now, this isn't going to be based on only this season, and I'm not going to be overreacting if like a guy had 2 or 3 good games, unless it was probably the only guy I'll do that with is Justin Fields, to be completely honest. But I think he's really showing something that we haven't seen before. But if your quarterback has had a couple stinkers in a row, I'm not going to significantly change my opinion on them. First one we have is elite. I am questioning how many guys are going to get into this category. I'm thinking this is like tier 1, like top few guys, like make it work even if their offense takes a big hit, or like complete and total game changers, that type of stuff. Then you've got top 10 range. And I'm not saying that there's only going to be 10 players between these two categories. I'm saying that if a quarterback is in top 10 range, maybe I have them at 11, but I understand the argument for them being top 10. I think it's reasonable to have them up there. Then we have all right, but with an exclamation mark, because I don't want this to be a negative category. It's just for players who I think are playing well, or quarterbacks who are definitely above average, but who are, I have a hard time seeing the argument for the top 10 range. Then you've got mid, that's pretty self-explanatory. Top 32, I think they should be a starter on a team somewhere as of right now. But that, there's probably only gonna be bad players in here. You got backup, and then you have NA for guys who basically like haven't played. So getting into it, you got Aaron Rodgers, who I said I wasn't going to overreact, but I think we've had a pretty long stretch of Rodgers not being super awesome. And it's tough to judge because part of it is his offense is just not what it's supposed to be. But part of it is he's also showing his age a little bit, and he's not doing the like super exciting stuff that he used to. And I think I'm saving the elite category for guys who really do that on a constant basis, no matter what. So I think I'm just going to drop him down to the top 10 range. And maybe that's unfair. And if he was playing on, an Eagles or a Dolphins, we'd probably just be calling him elite, but that's what it is. Baker Mayfield. I think there's a world where Baker Mayfield is all right again. The problem is that once you become like the quarterback that has sort of failed out of his first stop, or like where he was a first round draft pick, you can go to other places and start, but it's only going to be really bad situations because only bad teams are going to take a chance on, that type of player, right? So like he was on the Panthers this year and he looked really rough. And I kind of think that's partially because the Panthers offense is just a disaster. I'm still going to put him in backup. I think he can be a positive backup if he goes and sits somewhere for a few years and gets used to the system, but for now he's got to be here. Burrow has been a little bit up and down this year. I definitely don't think he's elite. I don't think his arm talent is quite there. I think he runs himself into sacks a lot. Not that he has bad arm talent, but that he doesn't have he doesn't look like Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes out there. But for the most part, I think he is kind of beating. I saw him in person beat some of the Jamar Chase allegations when they dropped 52 on the Panthers. But then again, Joe Mixon had 5 touchdowns in that game. So I think that he's easily in top 10 range. I have a hard time seeing him as like one of the best 2 or 3 quarterbacks as of right now. But I also think that the offense they run is way too focused on hitting the deep shots. And I wish sometimes they would just dial it back a little bit, even though they have so much talent. I don't think that's his fault. Derek Carr has not been playing good this year. And he's kind of running out of chances. We brought this up on the podcast, but I don't think they're going to move on from him because of the, why did we get Devontae Adams? Because he wanted to play with Derek Carr stuff. And if they don't have the first overall pick, I kind of don't like that many of the quarterback prospects this year. But I do think that if they were to, another team would easily pick him up and be like, oh, this is our solution. And whether or not that's true, I think he's like somewhere in the mid category. I can't do it after how they've been playing this year with the weapons they have. And I know their whole season's a disaster, and maybe part of that's on McCown. But it's been a long time since he's gotten that top 10 talk, and I kind of think he's just down into the mid category at this point. Dak Prescott, when he plays, the Cowboys offense is really good. When he doesn't, it's really bad. I don't think he's one of the top 2 or 3 guys. I think if anyone has him, 8 through 10 range, yep. Daniel Jones, he's winning a lot of games. So maybe you say he's got that it factor, but it's pretty hard to see him as anything other than like a really limiting game manager. Now, partially, his receivers have not been that great. And by not that great, it's one of the worst units in the league. But I don't think he has earned like my receivers are bad, and that's why I'm not, putting up big numbers. He's kind of just like not taking them out of games, which is better than, hardly starting. He's playing all right this year, but I'm going to put him in mid too. Sam Darnold, backup tier. Drew Lock, backup tier. Maybe there's a world where Drew Lock is sitting in top 32. He's got a decent amount of arm talent. He takes some shots downfield, but I don't think that he's going to get another shot to start for a long time, or maybe he'll be like a bridge quarterback, or who knows. But I kind of think he's just going to be an exciting backup with the Seahawks for a while, which isn't a bad thing to be. Jimmy Garoppolo, I think, very much belongs in the mid category too. I haven't looked at it. I'm wondering if his EPA per play is going to start going up because, oh my God, the offense is so stacked and all that stuff. And he game manages them to like a Super Bowl and an NFC championship, but it's in spite of him. He's not, like the worst starter in the league. He's not like the 30th best quarterback, but he's pretty limiting. Justin Fields is so tricky because if I put him in mid, how do you compare him to these guys? He has been really bad for about his first season and the first 4 or 5 games. And now they've started to really let him cook. And he's had 2 ridiculous rushing games and had the Bears in 2 games that they had no business being in, and I think most quarterbacks would not have them in. He also has really terrible weapons, and he has to hold on to the ball forever. But like, I can't put him up here, can I? It's like he's done it for such a short amount of time, and really with him, it's like wait and see. We need to see the offense next year, but he's got a lot of potential. Like the best case scenario for Fields is way up here. But if I put him up here, it'll be after only like 2-3 really good performances. If I put him down here, there's a chance that he ends up in this category. So I'm going to stick him in all right. I'm excited for him. I want to see the offense get better around him so you can really get a good judgment of how he's been. Geno Smith, you might say this is too early. I don't care. You haven't seen Geno Smith play a bunch of serious football in a long time. So it's not like he was mediocre. He was just on the bench. And then all of a sudden he comes in and he looks really, really strong on a Seahawks team that was not supposed to be that good. I think he's in the top 10 range. And I think maybe he would be just outside for me. But I remember him being all right last year too. I just think this is the way that it is. I don't think it's some like, beautiful scheme that's just setting everything up. I think he does go out there. I remember his first game back, he had a ridiculous throw across his body, like some Madden stuff that he completed. So I think he's solidly there. I do. Jared Goff, I think he's in the mid tier too. But now I'm questioning whether or not I'm going to have this top 32 tier filled out at all. Maybe. I don't know. Goff, I think, kind of stinks. Well, I'm going to put Daniel Jones and Jared Goff down here. I don't know. You know what? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put Jimmy Garoppolo and Daniel Jones and Jared Goff all in the same category. And I'm going to keep Derek Carr up here. Maybe that's how I'm going to do it. I really think Daniel Jones, it's like, if you're looking for the Giants to take another step, you got to replace Daniel Jones. If you're looking for the Lions to take another step, it's like, yeah, they got to replace Goff. Same thing with Garoppolo. Like, they did everything to try to replace him. With Carr, he's working his way there, but it's like he's played better than this before on offenses that weren't super set up for him. These are 3 teams that I think, whether it's Trey Lance or drafting a guy, I think have to replace their quarterbacks. So that's how I'm going to set it up. So I've changed my mind. Justin Herbert, he's had a rough season. And as much as I like to give Theo crap for it and all that, he is in the top 10 range. Though a lot of guys would put him in the elite range. I'm not there with him yet. I think he is still a little bit inaccurate on stuff. I think that I wish he was a little bit more physical as a runner sometimes. People say like, he can do that. I think he slides a lot. Now I'm being biased. There was one instance where he like slides on this 3rd and 1 where he easily could have gotten it. It's a good thing to slide. I know it is. But it's hard to put someone in the elite category when the production is this rough just because of the system that they're in, when really it's like the team around him isn't that bad, but you watch the game and you do buy it. It's not a well-built offense. They've got some good players, but it's not a well-built offense. And when you watch them, you see the arm talent. You see a lot of really good plays and crazy stuff that other people can't hit. So I'm going to have him there. And same thing with Jalen Hurts. Honestly, I think that Jalen Hurts doesn't hit the middle of the field. We're starting to really stack up the top 10 range, but Jalen Hurts doesn't hit the middle of the field super effectively. But what he does do, he's such a force in the running game, and he's got a good team around him, but he's such a force in the running game, it makes him so hard to defend. And he's really good at those like deep balls down the sideline. So he's keeping defenses honest. I don't think that, if he was on maybe the Chargers, he would look this way. But you could say that about any quarterback with a good system. I think he's been very legitimately good. I value the running a lot. I kind of want to see him do it in the playoffs. I think that he needs to hit the middle of the field more. If that's like the one part of his game you want to really see improve. But there's no way to keep him out of here with the season he's having. Then next we have Josh Allen. This is going to be the first guy in like the elite tier. He is coming off 2 to 3 stinkers. I don't care. I know he has those dips down where it's like he doesn't look like he's like trying as hard, or he just makes like a dumb, errant throw. But ultimately, what we saw last year in the playoffs was like some of the best quarterback football ever. And he was playing fantastic at the start of this season. I think putting him down a tier after 2 or 3 bad games when he has been just absolutely on fire the last few, it would be stupid. So I'm not going to do it. I think that he is also a crazy rushing threat. I think he has the strongest arm. He has some of the most arm talent in the NFL. And they so easily could have won that game against the Vikings, and we wouldn't be talking about this. But he just had 1 or 2 bad slip-ups. Here's how I'll put it. When the Bills got the ball back in the last, minute or 3 minutes of that overtime, what did you think was going to happen? You thought for sure they would go down and score. And I know it's like up until he threw a dumb pick on the 13, you were like, well, this is over. And I don't know. I think there's so few quarterbacks you have that mindset with. I think he's one of them. I know he's had some dumb mistakes, but it's like, it's not that he doesn't have the talent or that he is like stupid all the time. It's just like he's prone to going through streaks of unforced errors. And I think once the playoffs come around, you always lock in a little bit more. And we saw it last year, so I've got him elite. Then you've got Matthew Stafford. Oh my God, dude. This is one of the players that really sucks to rank. He has been not good this year, but he won the Super Bowl last year. His offensive line is so bad. It is so bad. And the team is just a disaster. And I really don't think, he has Cooper Kupp, and that is about it. And they can't run the ball at all. I think I'm going to give him benefit of the doubt. I think his elbow is bothering him, and I think he has a really terrible offense around him. And I don't want to move him down too quickly, so I'm going to stick with him and all right. These are also not in any order, by the way, for the record. So I'm not, whether or not I do like this or this, I'm not doing that. So I'll keep him in all right. It's just he also makes some bonehead decisions. He's a pick 6 machine, I'm afraid. Kirk Cousins, this one's easy. He's all right. It's Kirk Cousins. He's all right. We don't need to talk about that one too much. Lamar, I think a lot of years, it's like he's kind of bounced around between like totally elite crazy and carrying the offense and just being like the whole package and being like he's great, but he's been a little bit up and down. I just think he carries that team so much. Like if you stuck any other quarterback in that system and they were playing like okay, you would say, yeah, that's understandable. We get that. I think his rushing threat is so much. I think he's an elite quarterback. I really do. I think with some of these guys, there's some room to move up or move down or whatever. But he's playing like an MVP this year. He's playing fantastic last year. He won an MVP in 2019. I'm really high on him. I really don't think. I think a lot of people, why he's like talked about kind of negatively, is because he just doesn't throw the ball enough and doesn't rack up the passing yards. Maybe it's unfair to put him elite over some of these guys with the season that like Jalen Hurts is having or whoever. Or maybe Herbert if he was on a better team. But I got to do it, man. He's playing unbelievable. I think he's one of the top challengers for the Mahomes MVP, if there is going to be somebody who challenges him. Lawrence, he has not quite put it all together. This is another guy I like to give Theo crap about. He is good. He will put it all together. I promise you. If I'm going to have Justin Fields and all right, I think I have to have Trevor Lawrence. I do believe in it. Maybe I don't promise you, but I feel like he will. And the offense is good, and it's not like he's got some stacked team around him. He just really cannot get it done in the red zone. I kind of do buy into the idea. I think people sometimes give bad quarterbacks too much excuse for their bad head coaches, but I kind of do buy into the idea that Urban Meyer was like stunted the development a little bit. It's like you're not really playing real football. And their offense was so bad last year. I mean, I would say that the weapons that Trevor Lawrence had last year are worse than the ones that Justin Fields has this year. They were not like running the right routes. They had Treadwell as like wide receiver 1 towards the end of the season. You know, Fields' weapons are bad, but like, you know, you got Claypool and Mooney. That's not, you know, guys who are going to be on practice squads otherwise. So I'll have him in all right too. And you got Mac Jones. I don't know. He was like mid last year. He's top 32 this year. He's been really bad. I think the accuracy is nice. The decision making is nice. He's so limited though. And the mobility is so limited. Maybe these could just be combined into one category. I might do that at the end, but for right now, just put him top 32. He needs to put it together a little bit more. Patrick Mahomes, he's the MVP. He's the best quarterback in the league. He will be for a long time. He's elite. There you go. I'm not going to discuss that one too much. Tua. I do buy into the idea that Tua has an amazing offense and play caller around him. I think there's a lot of throws that don't look good for him. I think when he underthrows those deep balls and Tyreek comes back and catches them, it's like, man, that's Tyreek. And I think Tyreek is the best player in that offense. However, when you compare him to like a Baker Mayfield, who at one point was also like his EPA was very good and he was very efficient and he looked like he was super solid because he was in an offense that didn't ask him to do that much. And he was just like sort of like doing the easy stuff and that was it. And everything around him was working really well. I think that's unfair because I don't think Tua is like a mediocre quarterback in a great system. I think he's a pretty good quarterback in a great system. I think the arm talent is something that he's always going to struggle with. I think that if he was on a worse offense, that would be more apparent. However, I think that he does a very good job maneuvering the pocket. He's seriously great at it. His anticipation is very nice. Although every once in a while, someone will post on one of his throws, look at his anticipation. And then it's like the wide receiver adjusting back to the ball way a lot. It's like, I don't know if he anticipated that or if that was just a good play by the receiver. However, he is putting up the best numbers so far, granted against a lot of not super awesome defenses. You saw his value. It's not like Teddy Bridgewater could just replace him. So as somebody who is super low on him, I think I'm going to have him in the top 10 range. I think I get it at this point. I think I get like the Drew Breesy comparisons, and he's just putting up such good numbers. I'm not going to put him lower than that, but I do think he's playing like pretty good. I do think, and his accuracy is super amazing as well. So he's got like, it's very apparent the things that he is good at, but he also has a huge limitation that makes me, you know, pretty cautious of moving him into elite. And also he's played like 9 games like this, like 6 games like this. We got to pump the brakes on it just a little bit. I'm fairly confident if you put like any of these guys in his situation, they would also be putting up pretty crazy numbers, but you can't hate on him too much. He doesn't control, you know, who he plays around. And he's still playing good. You can judge him by what he's doing, and he's still playing good. Mariota, he's top 32, right? I like the rushing ability from him. I think that he does a good job sometimes with the easy stuff that Atlanta lays out for him. But like, oh my God, dude. Actually, I might put Mariota as a bet. I don't know. I would have been a little bit higher on him, but he played terrible against the Panthers on Thursday. Ultimately, Mariota is probably like going to be a bridge quarterback for the next few years. And by bridge quarterback, I mean, we just drafted this QB in the first round, but we're going to start Mariota for the first 4 games and waste everyone's time. Or like, you know, that's not how bridge quarterbacks work. If you don't have the guy currently on the roster, he's not a bridge quarterback. It's got to be like someone who is like legitimately good. You bring someone in, and then as they decline, you put it in that guy. You sign some guy out of free agency for 4 games. They're playing 4 games, you know. But I'll keep him top 32. Matt Ryan, he had a pretty good game the other day, but he's had some pretty bad stinkers. Man, I'm going to have to maybe rethink the categories here. I just think that like he cannot handle pressure. He just cannot like take hits like an NFL quarterback can because of his age. I think his arm strength is kind of washed. I think in there somewhere is like a good game managing quarterback, but it's in, you know, a 36, 37-year-old's body. I think he's just bad at this point. Davis Mills, he is a backup. I know he's starting on a team. He is a backup. He is not good. The Texans are the worst team in the league. I think he's pretty rough. I'm not that big a fan of him. You know, he's showing some signs of life last year. I think if the Texans draft a quarterback at 1, which I expect them to, I don't think he's going to get a starting job anywhere else. That's my prediction. Next, we have Kyler Murray. He has not played all that great this season. I still do believe in him and the arm talent. I think the Cardinals are just a mess, and I'm not ready to move him down to this tier because he's still having some pretty good games and making some good plays, but it's tough. They've been a mess. I kind of hope he gets out of Arizona, but for now I'm going to keep him in top 10 range. But if you told me that you thought that he was kind of slipping down to the all right tier because he doesn't really he's kind of like Russ was at one point where it's like he does the backyard stuff and he's got an amazing arm, but like he kind of has a little bit of trouble playing within his system sometimes, I wouldn't disagree with you. But I think Russ, when he was good, was top 10. I think Kyler is in top 10 range, so I'll put him there. Desmond Ridder literally has not played. I think this is Kenny Pickett. He's hardly played. I don't think that highly of him, but I'm not going to rank him just yet. Russell Wilson, I think partially Nathaniel Hackett has done some damage, so I'm going to put him in mid. I'm going to say that I'm still going to give him a little bit of love based off the name value for him, but like it is really, really rough because I feel like he's lost his ability, he's lost his kind of ability to cook. He doesn't have the escapability that he used to, and that is what kills him. Because now it's like he doesn't throw over the middle because he's a shorter guy, and he kind of needs to go around and do his backyard football stuff, but he can't. He doesn't have the legs for it anymore. And I want to blame Hackett as much as I can. I'm going to keep him here for now, but he's probably going to move down. But then maybe we'll rename this tier as like guys who are on the verge of getting replaced. Ryan Tannehill. These guys all real blend together. Maybe I'll put him mid. I don't have super strong feelings about him. I think that passing offense really stinks. I think largely because, it's not his fault. Maybe I'm giving him a little bit more love because of the name value and stuff, but I'll put him there. Who cares? I'm looking down at what we've got left, and we've got Brady, who I'm going to put in top 10 range. He's not had the best season in the world, but I think his interior offensive line stinks, and that team has not been the same. And then we got Watson. Is it fair to put 13 guys in top 10 range? Is that acceptable? Is that okay? And just 3 guys in elite, and it's Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes. I think that's okay. I think that's just enough. No. Watson, you could argue maybe we'll get into that elite category once he starts playing again, but he hasn't played in so long, so whatever. And then Brady, same thing. Okay. That's what I'm doing for that. I know I kind of skipped a few. Trey Lance hasn't played. Mitch Trubisky, backup. Carson Wentz, top 32. You know what? Here's what we're going to do to fix this. Bad with name value. I like that. These guys all had some sort of expectations. Although Tannehill, the whole Tannehill used to be good narrative kind of died off at the end of last year when he just choked in the playoffs, and then he hasn't really bounced back since. These guys, the expectations were pretty low, except for maybe Mac Jones. Maybe it should be bad with name value, but he's been in and out of the lineup and the injury stuff. And then I'm going to go ahead and put Jameis. At one point, I would have put him in all right. Jameis is an interesting one, but he did not play well this year, and his accuracy is not good. I like Jameis, or I liked how Jameis was playing last year, but top 32. Zach Wilson. I think Zach Wilson kind of stinks. But he's young. Zach Wilson, it's hard to rank the second-year quarterbacks who are right at the point where they need to start picking it up. With Wilson, I haven't seen him do anything. His good games are just him managing the game and not making any dumb mistakes. And I want to see him, if people talk about his escapability, he's got to turn some of those into plays. So for right now, I'm going to stick him down here, but this is becoming a huge category. Justin Fields is probably too high off of just a couple games, but the talent is there. He's having the wow plays, and all of the other categories below it are just not, they're negative categories, and I don't feel negatively about him. I just think he's a second-year quarterback who is showing his upside. It's how do you have Justin Fields and Matthew Stafford in the same category? This was harder than I thought. Maybe this is okay. Here's what I thought. Maybe this is bad, but could conceivably turn it around. Right? It's Wilson and Tannehill's played good before, and Mac Jones has played good before, and Carr's played good before. You haven't seen a good stretch of games from Winston in a long time. Wentz, he's not going to turn it around probably, right? Mariota, it's he's a game manager. Jones is a game manager. Matt Ryan, this is who he is. Goff, this is who he is. That's what I'll say. I forgot what I said bad, but you could see a universe where they turn it around, or it's they've just become bad now and they were good last year, or they've been good, very, very recently. But I guess you could kind of say that about Matt Ryan, but I don't know. Bad? That's what we're going to go with. That's all right. I'm finalizing this. Okay. Maybe I'll do another one at the end of the year when you can talk a little bit more solidly about some of these guys. But I think this is about fair, right? I think this is about right. Maybe I should have added in a few more categories, but that's all I've got for you guys today. Make sure to do all the other stuff you're supposed to do on the YouTube videos. Like, comment, subscribe, watch the podcast. Tell me where I'm wrong and a hater, because I do hate your favorite players. And I'll catch y'all next time.